going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here to talk to you about Ultimate Comics Avengers Volume 1, Next Generation. This is written by Mark Millar, or Miller, I've never known how to pronounce his name, and art by the late, great Carlos Pacheco. And this came out shortly after Ultimatum. I've talked a little bit about the post-Ultimatum Ultimate Universe. Basically, fresh news, status quo, all the way across the board. Nick Fury is considered a war criminal, and what's left of the Ultimates has kind of sort of fallen apart. Carol Danvers, who was introduced, the Ultimate version of her was introduced in the Ultimate Galactus trilogy, which I've already talked about. She is now in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Iron Man is basically useless. He apparently had to kill Wolverine in Ultimatum. I haven't read Ultimatum, so I had forgotten that because I had read this before, but it's been a while and I'd forgotten that Iron Man was kind of down on himself for having to do that, apparently. And so Iron Man isn't really a viable field agent anymore. The Wasp was eaten by the Blob. Quicksilver is now a bad guy, according to Ultimate X Origins by Jeff Loeb. And I think he may have been thrown back in with Magneto in Ultimatum. I don't know. I have no idea what happened with the Scarlet Witch. No, she was also working with Quicksilver in Ultimate X Origins. And then Black Widow, she was revealed to be a bad guy in Millar's Ultimates run with Brian Hitch. And so basically it's just Captain America, Iron Man, and Hawkeye. The Hulk, he's now, I don't remember if Ultimate X Origins was happening right around the same time as this, but he joins Jean Grey and her new team of X-Men. So there's not much left of the Ultimates. And then this miniseries starts with Nick Fury is talking to Hawkeye, and Hawkeye says Captain America has found out about the Red Skull. And then we flash back to like 2 days earlier, I think, and Hawkeye and Captain America, they are on a mission where they are trying to stop AIM from doing something, and then the Red Skull shows up, and then he tells Captain America, I am your son. And then Captain America and Hawkeye, they're en route back to base, and then Captain America goes rogue. He is going to try and deal with this on his own, and so Nick Fury is reluctantly brought in by Carol Danvers to handle this situation. We don't want the entire planet to know that the Red Skull is Captain America's son, and also the Red Skull stole the blueprints from the Baxter Building. The Ultimate Cosmic Cube was invented by Ultimate Reed Richards, and he stole the blueprints for that. And so they're like, we really don't want AIM to build another Cosmic Cube. It will allow them to control the entire planet, rewrite history, rewrite reality. That is a big no-no. And so Nick Fury has to put together a new Black Ops team to deal with this. He gets Hawkeye. We get the never-before-seen older brother of Tony Stark, and this was a little frustrating to me at the time because by this point we had already gotten two Ultimate Iron Man miniseries that showed a little bit of Tony Stark's past before he joins the Ultimates, and Gregory Stark was in neither of those, and so I have no idea if Mark Millar knew about the Orson Scott Card Ultimate Iron Man minis and just didn't care, or if he didn't know and he said, hey, guess what, there's an older brother that for some reason we haven't heard anything about up until now. And Nick Fury is even telling Hawkeye, like, he's not squeamish. He will give us technology that is very deadly and very effective in the field, unlike Tony, who has a little bit of a conscience. And Gregory is not an alcoholic like Tony. And Nick Fury said, like, you know, he's a complete nightmare to work with, but he's got really good toys, and I love working with him. So my question is, okay, why weren't you working with him before? Why didn't you contact Gregory Stark whenever you were first putting the Ultimates together? And the reason for that is because the Ultimates was a reinvention of existing characters from the Marvel Universe, and Gregory Stark is not a character from the Marvel Universe, and so that's why Nick Fury had never mentioned Gregory Stark. That's why Tony never mentioned Gregory Stark. That's why Orson Scott Card didn't put Gregory Stark in the miniseries detailing Tony Stark's life before the Ultimates. And then suddenly, here we have Gregory Stark. And he is, I guess, kind of like the Q branch of the team. He doesn't actually go out in the field. But with Gregory Stark comes James Rhodes, who is called War Machine, I think, at least once in the book. But they also call him the Iron Man 2 or Iron Man with genitalia, to be a little crude. Then we get a character named Red Wasp. We get a new Black Widow, and then we get a character named Nerd Hulk. who joins the team. Well, he is a clone of Bruce Banner, and basically he is Bruce Banner's mind with the Hulk's strength. And then that's basically it. There is one character who is in a Spider-Man costume, but he is in this big glass tube, and Gregory Stark said, don't talk to him. He was able to convince one of our science people to kill himself with just 4 exchanges of dialogue or something like that. I have no idea who that is, and the book kind of treats it like it's a big deal. This was actually the furthest that I got. I think there was 4 volumes of Ultimate Comics Avengers total. I guess I should say the reason that I read this and didn't go any further, a long time ago, I had a mail subscription to Ultimate X-Men, and then Ultimate X-Men ended with issue 100, and then I got a little note in the mail saying, congratulations, you are now subscribed to Ultimate Comics Avengers. And I think my subscription ended with issue 5, and this was a 6-part story, so eventually I just went ahead and bought the trade paperback so that I could have the whole story. And I will say, I really hated this a lot. This story feels like it feels like fan fiction where someone is trying to out-Millar Millar. If you read Millar's previous Ultimate stuff and you thought this is really like hardcore and edgy, if you read that and thought that, then you really are not going to like this, because this, I feel like it's like, okay, well, you thought that was bad, this is going to be a whole lot worse. And there are some ideas in it I actually kind of like. I like the idea of, for the Ultimate Red Skull, saying that Captain America had an illegitimate kid. I like his origin story. I thought that was neat. Unfortunately, I feel like the heroes in this story are just about as bad as the Red Skull. And we find out with Red Wasp that at one point, her husband was working for somebody in Georgia, like Soviet Georgia, not Sweet Home Georgia. But he's working for someone there, and the Red Skull is working for his enemies. And so then he goes and he says, "Okay, woman, you can either kill your husband or I can kill your infant son. You get to choose." And so she kills her husband, and then he throws her baby out the door or out the window. And then it's heavily implied that his minions rape her. Just truly awful, truly awful. So I do not lightly say this, that the heroes in this book are equally bad. None of them are rapists as far as I know, but they are all really awful. So somehow, after that horrific origin story, Red Wasp then becomes a terrorist, because when we first meet her, we are told she is a bodyguard for a politician, and there are these guys who are about to assassinate the politician, and then she goes and kills them and says, "I would actually love it if you guys would kill her, but I have this microchip in my brain that prevents me from being a bad guy now. I used to be a terrorist, but now, thanks to Gregory Stark, I'm a good guy now." I have no idea how I was forced to murder my husband, my infant son was thrown out a window in front of me, and then I was raped several times, how that translates into then I decided to become a terrorist. I really hate her origin story. It's absolutely awful, but two wrongs do not make a right. And the problem is we don't really get a lot on any of these new characters. It's introducing a lot of characters all at once, and my understanding is there was kind of a rotating cast. Every 6 issues there would be a new team that the series would be dealing with. I'm pretty sure the Punisher is in the team in one of the later volumes, and so if you are interested in learning more about Nick Fury's ex-wife, or that's the new Black Widow, learning more about her or Red Wasp, or if you're interested in how is Nerd Hulk, other than being smart, how is he different than Bruce Banner? Is he in any way, in any significant way, different than Banner when he is not in Hulk form? You're probably not going to find out a lot about these characters. This is not a character-centric series. This is very much a plot-heavy series, and I would like at least a little bit more about the characters. You look at Millar and Hitch's original Ultimates run, and there was plot, there was a lot of action in that series, but I feel like the characters also felt real. They felt like they came alive, and I just don't quite get that in this story. But anyway, I was talking about how everyone is absolutely awful. So you've got the Red Wasp, who was a terrorist, and then you have Black Widow, the new Black Widow, and at one point Fury says, And a lot of this, like, I'm gonna have to refresh my brain as I work my way through all of the Ultimate stuff up there. But Fury says, Black Widow, the original Black Widow, killed Hawkeye's family. Maybe you shouldn't call yourself Black Widow. And new Black Widow says, I couldn't care less. If Hawkeye doesn't like it, he's being a big baby and he can leave. And like, wow, that was rude. And then at one point, when we're first introduced to Rhodey, there are these soldiers that have been kidnapped somewhere in the Middle East. And then Rhodey comes in, and then it's this small village, and there was like one guy in charge who was going to probably execute these guys and film it, and then Rhodey just executes everyone in the village, and there's at least one elderly woman there, and then the soldiers say these were unarmed civilians, and Rhodey basically says, grow up, I don't care. And then at the end of the book, you find out that Nick Fury was the one who hired the Red Skull to steal the plans for the Cosmic Cube from the Baxter Building, and basically he did that so that Carol would come to him and say, I need you to fix this problem. We've got a situation. And Nick Fury at the very end says, I'm getting my old job back no matter what. And wow, like, he is straight up a villain here. And I've said that recently, depending on who is writing Ultimate Nick Fury, sometimes he's not that bad, and sometimes he is very evil. And here, I mean, when you hire a terrorist who has raped and murdered his way across the world, that's awful. You're not much better than him if you're better at all. And really, there's not a whole lot going on here. This is a 6-issue story, and it's a little more than halfway in before we actually start to see any story stuff. So the whole first issue is Hawkeye's talking to Fury, and then we're getting a flashback where Hawkeye and Cap are fighting AIM, and then Cap gets in a tumble with Red Skull, and then he says, that's my son, and then end of issue 1. And then issue 2, we get Nick Fury is telling Carol Danvers, here's the story on the Red Skull, his backstory. He was born this year, this is all that happened. And then we also see Captain America, another flashback where he escapes from the plane that's transporting him so that he can go do something. I don't know if he doesn't trust the government to deal with this, and he thinks that he needs to do it on his own, because we don't really know. I mean, eventually Cap does come back, and he takes care of the situation, and I've got some questions about that, but I'm not really sure why Cap goes rogue. If maybe he thinks that they don't think that he's capable of handling this, and he thinks he's the only one who can. We're never really told. He just goes rogue, and then that's it. And suddenly the Ultimates spend like half of this miniseries trying to find and fight Captain America. When you've got the Red Skull at large, maybe you should deal with that, and then you won't have to deal with Captain America. But Captain America, he pretty easily is able to deal with the Ultimates, and then he pulls a Heath Ledger's Joker / Silva from Skyfall / Loki from the Avengers / Khan from Into Darkness, the villain getting arrested on purpose so that they can be exactly where they need to be. Captain America pulls that. So I guess it's fun that a hero is doing that instead of a villain, but basically he needed to be arrested in France so that they would take him to the French headquarters of S.H.I.E.L.D. so that he could steal one of their airplanes that can teleport in small jumps. But anyway, eventually the Ultimates are like, okay, we've got 48 hours before AIM is able to build a new version of the Cosmic Cube, but then they're able to finish it like 2 days early. The Ultimates come, and they're trying to fight the Red Skull, and he's basically invincible. He has like a personal force field around him that none of them are able to get through. And then Captain America comes in a plane, and then he tells Hawkeye, tell me his exact coordinates, the longitude and latitude of the Red Skull. And Hawkeye tells him, and then Captain America is able to send the plane, and it impales the Red Skull. Okay, I have some questions. He was invincible and omnipotent. He was able to rewrite reality as we know it with the Cosmic Cube. How is Cap able to get through that force field and impale him? And Cap says, Hawkeye never misses and I never lose. So, okay, but he's got this box that turns him into a god. I don't know how a very good lucky streak is able to make you able to penetrate his force field. I don't get it. And this is something I don't like it when villains become unbeatable on paper and then the heroes are still able to defeat them somehow. This reminds me of Grant Morrison and Jay Lee's, or Jai Lee, I don't remember, their Fantastic Four 1, 2, 3, 4, where Doctor Doom is unbeatable. Like, he is able to control reality, and then somehow the Fantastic Four are still able to beat him. And I don't like it. You need to be really clever in order to make something like that work. Have some way that our heroes are able to do something to get past the villain being omnipotent and completely invincible. And this story just felt really lazy and did not put in the work to make that happen. But then at the end, the Red Skull, he's on life support now, and he said his farewells to his mom, who's Steve Rogers' girlfriend from before he went in ice. And then Nick Fury says, okay, what were you guys talking about? And he says, basically, he had regrets. And he said, the only reason that I wanted this is what the Red Skull says. He said, the only reason that he wanted a cosmic cube was so that he could rewrite history so that he could have a family. Because the government basically convinced Gale, you give us the baby and we are going to adopt it with a nice family, and then nobody is going to know that Captain America had an illegitimate kid. Now, I have some questions again. Publicly, did Joe Schmo, who lives down the street, know that Gale was dating Captain America? Did Joe Schmo know that Steve Rogers was Captain America? Because probably some people knew that she was dating Steve, but I don't know if everyone on the planet knew that Steve was Captain America, and I don't know if she suddenly had a baby, would everyone put two and two together and say, that's Captain America's baby? But the government convinces her, let us keep the baby and we will adopt it with a nice family, and then nobody's going to know that Captain America had an illegitimate kid. But they don't do that. They raise the baby in a military compound, and then when he's, I think, 17 or 18, then he escapes, kills a whole bunch of people, like 200-something people, when he escapes. And we find out that shortly after he escaped, he killed John F. Kennedy, and then became a soldier for hire / mercenary, working with the worst throughout the, 50 years or so after he escaped. And then, here he says he just wanted to rewrite history so that he could be raised by his mom and dad. So Steve would come back from the war, and then he could have a mom and dad and the white picket fence and a dog named Spot and all that good stuff. That's actually not a bad motivation for a villain. The problem is, he's done some truly awful, despicable stuff. The origin of the Red Wasp is a really good example. You can't make me buy that this guy just wanted a mommy and a daddy. Okay, then why did he do all these really awful things? It doesn't really work. It feels like an interesting idea, but you kind of bungled the execution a little bit. Really, when it comes down to it, a couple of interesting ideas is not enough to make me want to recommend this to anybody, because it's just awful. I don't like really horrible people. When I'm reading a superhero comic, I want them to act heroic. I'm not opposed to morally gray. I'm a big fan of, here it is, I recently talked about this a couple weeks ago. I'm a big fan of A Song of Ice and Fire. I mentioned that when I was talking about Ultimate Origins by Bendis. I like morally gray. This is a series that says there are no good guys and there are some bad guys, but even the good guys occasionally do bad things. I'm okay with that, but you have to earn it. And I feel like this story is just saying, wouldn't it be awesome if Rhodey executed an entire town when there was one guy there who was going to kill these two soldiers? Or wouldn't it be awesome if Nick Fury got who knows how many people killed hiring the Red Skull to steal this Cosmic Cube blueprint so that he could get his old job back? Wouldn't it be hilarious if this woman, she was raped by the Red Skull, who later, well, his men anyway, who later he says, oh, I just wanted my mommy and daddy. And it just doesn't work for me. The whole book just leaves a really bad taste in my mouth. And there was some of that, I guess some people would call, like, toxic behavior, and I feel like that's a phrase that's kind of overused a little bit these days, but there was some of that in the Ultimates, the original Ultimates by Millar and Hitch, but I still felt like the characters acted somewhat heroic in that book, and I just don't get that with this. None of them feel like good guys here. And when I'm reading a superhero comic, I don't want a bunch of really awful people who are using the Geneva Convention like a to-do list. I just don't want that. So would I recommend this? If you like Mark Millar at his absolute worst excesses, then yeah, maybe you would like this. I do not. I think Moar is capable of writing some really good stuff, but a lot of times it feels like he just wants to be edgy for edgy's sake. So I do not like it, and if that doesn't sound like something that would appeal to you, but you still are a little bit curious, I would recommend don't do it. There are plenty of other fish in the sea. Go spend your money on something else. So those are my thoughts on Ultimate Comics Avengers Volume 1. I did not like it. I hope you guys liked this video, and I will see you guys in the future with something else. In the meantime, have a great rest of your day. Catch you later.